I'm Steve.
And I'm Les.
And this is another episode of Tabletop Tastings, Sip and Play. Les, what did we play today?
Today, we played Carcassonne. Carcassonne is an absolute classic in the board game world.
Yeah.
I know back in the year 2000, there was concern about, computers, they're all going to die because they don't have the right number of digits put in for the year. But something bigger happened in 2000 than Y2K, and that was the release of this board game here. And this copy I bought 20 years ago. So in 2004, I purchased this edition of Carcassonne. This copy comes with the River expansion, and I have a few other little mini expansions for it as well. I've got the Tower expansion, which I use primarily for organizing my tiles, which is really nice. And there are some, dragon and princess and other little things that go about within that. Essentially, though, at its bones, Carcassonne is a tile drafting game where you're picking up these tiles, you're trying to place them, and you're essentially, whenever you complete cities or roads or cloisters or fields, you score points for those. This is a classic of a board game. And like Settlers of Catan, it was one of those big games that really hit it off in North America and broke huge outside of Europe. It was designed by Klaus-Jurgen Wrede, who made this game.
Pretty good with that.
And what's crazy about Carcassonne, Steve, how many expansions or variations of this game do you think there are?
Oh man, I don't know. I can think of like 4 off the top of my head.
So I'm going to reference my cheat sheet here, but there are 60 plus expansions, variations, big box editions, or spin-offs of Carcassonne. It's a massive game. And it's had over 12 million copies sold worldwide since its release, and that stat's a few years old, so it could be something
even more
now. Steve, what do you think of Carcassonne?
Listen, I love Carcassonne. It's a nice, it's an easy one to teach people because you're flipping up a tile and you're placing it down. There's loads of strategy to it, so it seems simple, but there's lots of strategy involved. So it's great for someone that really wants to think hard about it. But it's also easy just to have someone that doesn't really play games a lot, and you can show them, okay, this is how you play.
And I think this is why I love it, is because you go to the teach piece. Really, it's 5 minutes. You pick up a tile. You just have to match up the borders so that it looks cohesive.
Exactly.
One thing that shocks me, no, it doesn't shock me, but one thing that I find super cool with this game is that there's a place called Carcassonne, the city of Carcassonne. And I'm going to put a picture of it up on the screen here as well. But it's crazy that as you build your city, how much it actually looks like the actual city of Carcassonne. I believe it's in France somewhere. If that's wrong, please reference the notes in the video because it will clarify. But absolutely beautiful game, simple, easy to teach, easy to play. The only piece that people sometimes struggle with is the farmers, because cities and roads and cloisters, whenever you finish them, score right away. Farmers score at the very end of the game. And it's area control kind of thing with that. So that can be a little tricky for some people the first time they play. But otherwise, it's a very simple, straightforward game. Anyone from 5 to 6 years of age, all the way up to 80 or 90 can play this game and enjoy it.
Yeah, we taught our kids like really early on how to play this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're going to play a classic like Carcassonne, you need something classic to go with it. You need something that kind of stands through the test of time. It's not a shiny new game that's played for 6 months and then it sits on the shelf. You need something that you can bring out again and again and again and enjoy that. So for our playthrough, Steve, what do you recommend we pair with it?
So this company is not classic. They have not been around forever like some of the other companies that are out there. However, they make a classic really well. And so what I've decided to pair with Carcassonne is the Boulder Bourbon. So it's Boulder Bourbon. They're bottled in bond.
Ooh, Steve, bottled in bond. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, for sure. So bottled in bond really is a set law in the United States, the Bottled in Bond Act of 1897. And so realistically, there's kind of 4 things that go into that.
Now, this act, is it kind of like a theater or play type
No,
thing?
no, it's a law.
It's a law,
So
okay.
it's a law, right? So, and I'll kind of go into why they needed to enact it, but there's basically 4 things that go into that. So one is that it has to be all from one distiller.
Okay.
Secondly, it has to be from the same distillation year. So you can't take something from last year and put it together with this year. It has to all be distilled in the same year.
So you can't take like a 4-year and a
Nope.
8-year and blend
No,
them together.
exactly.
They've got to be the same year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then it has to be aged minimum for 4 years.
Okay.
So that's part of it as well. And lastly, it's 50 ABV or 100 proof.
Ooh, okay.
That has to be the minimum.
I think that's my favorite proof.
I love that kind of in that range.
Yeah,
From 50 to 55 kind of is that little bit of a sweet spot for most things, but especially for bourbon. That's kind of your sweet spot. So why do we care? Why do we care that it's bottled in bond?
Why do we care, Steve?
So some people are like, whatever, it doesn't matter, bottled in bond. I don't care if it's from a different year. I don't care what it, this and that. But really what it means to us today is that that distiller is taking their time to make something right.
So it's almost like a stamp of quality.
Correct.
It's something that's gonna be good.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And that's really why it came out in the first place, because they were having a lot of problems with putting bourbon on a label and it may not have truly been bourbon. So it may not have been 51%. They could have put anything they wanted on that label and it may not have been actually what you're drinking.
So it's kind of like a
So-
24 karat gold stamp. You know
Yeah.
what you're getting with that product.
Exactly.
You know what you're going to get.
So you
with the
know,
product
yeah,
like this.
exactly. You know that you're going to get those 4 main things, those 4 main ingredients are going to be part of this.
Awesome.
And so that's why I really think that this goes really well with this game, because it's got all the main ingredients to make a great game. That's what you get with Boulder. And so Boulder is not an old, like they haven't been around from the 1890s or whatever it is, like some of the other companies that we've had and tried. They're a little bit of a newer, but their passion really is shown in the juice that we get, but also from the people. So we've done a tasting from Boulder not that long ago, and the guy that was representing them, Ryan, you could totally see his passion for what they produce. And again, they're kind of like that grain to glass guys. They do everything. They got their fingerprint on every part of it. Their single malt is fantastic. And it's really kind of the main, not for the bourbon, but for everything else that they make. That's kind of like their main juice that they start with. And that's an awesome place to start with. So if you haven't tried any of the Boulder Spirits, get out there and find a bottle. They're really fantastic.
And they're from Colorado. Is that
Yeah,
right?
Boulder, Colorado. Yeah.
So let's get a little Boulder.
Yeah,
and
let's get it.
in and we'll
Let's have a
try
little
this.
bit while we finish up our game here.
And we had a bottle from yourself, which was opened already, but
Yeah.
we wanted to get a fresh
Oh,
bottle
we got
crack.
it. And I'm having trouble with it,
on the
which is kind of
channel.
fun.
Steve struggles, which I love. And
Yeah.
that's let me hear it.
Let's
Let me
hear it. I think we might hear Colorado when we open it. Oh, that was spectacular.
That was pretty good.
That was a really nice pop. Okay, so let's have a little bit as we finish up our discussion on Boulder and Carcassonne. I really,
So even though it's made
So-
in Denver, Colorado, I
Yeah.
could picture myself in France, overlooking a beautiful city, sniffing this
Yeah.
and enjoying this as I overlook the beautiful city and fields of the area.
yeah, so there's no question that this is bourbon. It's fantastic, that nose to it.
Steve,
You get that corn, you get the sweetness.
stuff is just so tasty. And I like, you mentioned bourbon because it hits you with that bourbon
Yep.
right away. It's obvious, it's corn, but it's one of my favorite bourbons right now. Is the Boulder stuff.
Yeah, It's it's really just nice, and it is nice to know. Some people kind of go back and forth, or they argue about the whole bottled and bond. But for me as a consumer, it is kind of nice to know. Okay, there is a standard that they had to hit, and these guys, you don't have to anymore, right? They could make whatever they wanted to, and just call it straight bourbon, or call it American whiskey. But what they've done is they've said, no, we're going to hit those specific 3 or 4 things, and we're going to put out a product that is to that level.
Yeah, certified.
Which is nice. Like, it's
quality,
as a consumer, that's really what you're looking for. Because you spend quite a bit of money on a bottle of whiskey. You want to know that you're getting something quality.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to get with Boulder.
And that's what you're going to get with your playthrough of Carcassonne as well. This game's been around for a long time, but it's really, really good. In fact, I hadn't played it in quite a while, and we played it to prep for this session. And I immediately went back to, I love this game. We got to get it on the table a little more often.
It just kind of brings a smile to your face, and it's a fun game to play.
Quick and easy.
Nice and easy. My box looks the same as yours. It's all banged
Old
up.
and beat
It's
up.
banged up, beat up, because we've used it so much. It's a great game.
So, we've learned a valuable lesson today.
We have.
That is, if you're going to play a game of Carcassonne, you want to pair it with
Boulder, bottled and bond, bourbon.
My name is Les,
And I'm Steve.
and this is Tabletop Tastings.
That it is.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.